Welcome back, it's me, Lou. I'm here for another action figure unboxing and review. Alright, so today we're going to jump into Time Machine and travel back probably over 20 years ago to the early 2000s as we look at this. From DC Direct, we are featuring Hush, the popular villain, the popular villain from the Batman comic book series. Hush was introduced to us by writer Jeff Loeb and artist Jim Lee. It was kind of like the definitive Batman story of that time period, and Hush was the big takeaway from it. A really, really popular fan favorite character, and he has such a cool looking costume, and it's such a throwback to like the late 90s and early 2000s in terms of his design sense. I really missed this era of collecting. I was a big fan of the DC Direct action figures, especially this Hush line. Back in the day, I think only about one or two of these figures, but seeing as how the prices on some of these figures have dropped over the years, I kind of felt now was a better time than any to like go back and pick up some of the figures I never had, or just pick up the ones that I lost. Big fan of Hush, and there's actually a variant of this action figure. I think it was either a Wizard magazine or Toy Fair magazine exclusive, and that version featured the Jason Todd head, not the bandaged up one, which we see right here. And that figure goes for a lot of money. I think that one goes for like maybe over $70. On the back, here's some other figures. We have the Batman, which is a great figure. Huntress, this is probably one of my favorite Huntress figures of all time. We're looking at Hush. Poison Ivy, again, another great figure. We don't get enough Poison Ivy figures, and I kind of feel like this is one of the best ones available, even though it's over 20 years old. And then we have the Jim Lee Hush Joker, which is a phenomenal action figure. So yeah, this came out, I guess, in 2003 or 2004. Here's the Hush graphic novels, Volume 1 and Volume 2. If you've never read Hush, either go to your local bookstore and grab the graphic novels, or get the PDF on Kindle or whatever. It's well worth the read. And let's take this guy out. So originally my intent was to collect some of these guys and keep them mint in box, but all these figures that I'm finding, the boxes are beat to hell, and then I'm kind of like at the point where I'm like, I wouldn't mind actually having these loose. So we're going to take them out. The only downside is that some of these figures, they don't really withstand the test of time physically. Some of the capes and coats, they're made of like a very rubbery plastic. And some of them I've seen have started to like melt and degrade. So hopefully this one's okay. Because I've seen some online where the coats are completely melting. And I'm not sure if that's due to like an exposure to air or what. Or if they're stored in warm environments. Oh, I didn't realize there was all this crap in the back. This is like complete overkill. All you really need is just like the one tie holding them at the waist. This is crazy. There we go. Alright, and we have some accessories here. These are the pegs. These are the pegs for the display base. Alright, so it comes with the two pegs, so you can mount them anywhere on the really, really cool Batman logo. This was the masthead for the comic book covers. They actually redesigned it, I think, when they did Hush years ago. I like this one a lot. Very graphic in its design, very cool, very clean also. Now let's set this aside, and let's get to Hush himself. Gorgeous looking action figure. Thankfully, it feels like my cape is fine. Doesn't really feel like it's deteriorating yet. This guy stands in at about 6.5 inches. Gorgeous looking action figure. The DC Direct line of figures, they were amazing for that time period. Their only really big competition during the early 2000s was probably Toy Biz with their Marvel action figures. But there was just something about the DC Direct stuff that really elevated action figure design sense, up a level. Besides them, there's also McFarlane Toys. But the thing is, DC Direct, as the name implies, it was only aimed at the direct market. You can only find these figures like at comic book shops or specialty stores like Tower Records. And it's so gorgeous. This is really it really captures Jim Lee's interpretation of the Hush character. Like McFarlane Toys and I think Mafex have produced their versions of Hush over the last few years. But this one, it really seems like it pulled Hush straight out of the comic books and just made it in physical form. The proportions are very much like Jim Lee's. The design sense, it's an excellent figure. Again, the costume design, it's very reminiscent of what we saw in the 90s and early 2000s. Lots of straps, lots of pouches, lots of pockets. It kind of had like the Jim Lee Gambit style trench coat. In terms of the articulation, he does have articulation, but in terms of posability, that's going to be very limited. His head looks left and right, and mine feels a little bit stiff. I'm not going to force it. His arms articulated as well. Yeah, the head, I can feel it moving, but it's kind of like, it feels a little bit gummy, so it might be stuck because of the paint. But thankfully the arms can be articulated. But this is what I'm talking about. Even though the figure does feature articulation, the posability doesn't make any sense because you raise it up, his arm goes outward, and then if you want to point him forward, you have to twist him the thing. So it's very difficult to pose it in the way you'd like. And because of its age, some of these joints don't want to move. And again, I'm not going to force it. Some of the DC Direct figures, as great as they looked, some of them could be very, very fragile. I really want to move this hand, but again, it feels like it's stuck. And the plastic quality they used back then was very different than the stuff that we get nowadays. He does feature articulated legs. Again, very stiff, very tight. I don't want to risk breaking the joint. But you get the point. Overall, a gorgeous looking action figure. If you grew up during this time period, or if you were frequenting the comic book shops during the early 2000s, this is something you might have seen if your shop carried toys, especially the DC Direct stuff. Here he is next to the Jim Lee Hush Batman. They go great next to each other. And let's get them in focus. There we go. Yeah, a gorgeous line of action figures. If this is something that interests you, go hunting around on eBay. You can find these for pretty decent prices. Like I said, the price on some of these figures have really, really dropped over the years. And I'm seeing a lot of collectors just selling their entire collections of this line. So they're well worth the hunt. Just be sure if you're going to buy these figures loose, carefully inspect the quality of the capes. Because some of the capes, it's like I said, they could be melting. They might be kind of like marred like this one here with some staining. But yeah, overall, excellent action figure. Alright, so with that being said, let's wrap this one up. Once again, my name is Lou. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you are a returning viewer or subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support. I greatly appreciate it. So until the next video, be safe, take care of yourself, buy lots of toys, and most importantly, be happy. And I'll see you at the next one. Alright, later.